People's House. Anyway, AEW Dynamite review. Good show. Like I said, the Continental Classics been on point. I was like, it didn't fail in any way this week or this day. Uh, no, pretty much the whole show was pretty much jam packed or filled with something that either obviously continue the tournament, continue the story, or or was like Tony Storm that it was just like putting her on TV for everybody to watch kind of thing. Uh, but we're just gonna go into it and just I guess a little rapid thing of like we have Roosh versus John Moxley. Once again, I was like, we pretty much sometimes know with some of these matches how it's gonna go, but that does not mean that But with that, it's like cool, give us a really good match and good match out of this one. Once again, I was like, you got two. This was like how it was with Briscoe and Roosh last week. You get Roosh and Moxley this week, and they're really hard hitting people. They're really people that don't really sell anything. So I guess like when it does hit, it hits or it's impactful. I was like they each had like a body part that was where it was Moxley his left arm he couldn't really like there were points where he couldn't even like lift him up because he was selling the arm. Roosh had his stuff with his ankle, which sort of surprising because both of them last week had stuff with their legs, so they both were sort of in that same boat, but I was like, I guess only Roosh only had a thing from it, but they basically just they started in the ring and it was just like hitting each other, hard hitting, that kind of thing. They doing forearm chops. Then they just go outside the ring and they just start fighting and like amongst the audience and stuff. No count outs at all, which I know AEW does quite a bit, but in this situation, I'm fine with it because of the way that the match sort of is. That is kind of like, okay, cool. We're just gonna let y'all fight. We're not gonna have no interferences anyway. Might as well just like whatever you gotta, Because there's another part where they was outside fighting again, and the ref was like, you gotta finish in the ring, and I'm like, cool. In this kind of atmosphere in this tournament, I'm totally fine with that kind of thing. Of like, there's no countouts here. Like, bump that. We're just gonna basically let y'all fight, but y'all gotta finish it here, kind of thing. Basically, pretty much by the end of it, they're just working over. I was like working the body parts, and Roosh is basically tanking out Moxley this whole time, and then Moxley once again like how he sort of did last week, where he sort of was like with his leg, and he sort of played possum on Jay Lethal. He sort of had that here with Roosh, where Roosh was going for the bullhorn, I believe, in the corner. He didn't get it. I was like, then he just sort of like jacks up and just hits the paradigm shift in a way that almost looks like a standing like DDT kind of thing. But with his arm the way it is, he sort of just rushed, no pun intended, the move. But yeah, John Moxley get it. We knew who was gonna win, but we got a good match out of it anyway, and the whole thing. Then we got Hangman and MJF backstage. We got Hangman first talking to Renee, and he's telling Strickland it ain't over. This ain't good job basically on beating me in a Texas Death Match, but I'm gonna see you again. I'm gonna take from you what you really want. So I guess we're gonna see in the future in the Continental match that he's gonna basically cost him or some form of that. MJF rolls up because they was at like MJF's locker, and they basically just started throwing bars. Base of MJF's just like, oh man, you still being like a little whiny old bitch, and Hangman Page is like, oh, how's that going for you with that title? He's like, oh, pretty good. How long it went for you? 6 months? Oh man, I had the title for like a year, and they, it's getting like really heated to the point that Hangman tried to leave, but he couldn't because he had to come back because, you got to get your last word in and got to get your lick back. And basically a future type of content type of thing. Like they were like it was like that. It was almost like how where the whole thing it wasn't on that level of like Kenny Omega streak versus MJF with having the title and stuff like that. But this was a lot more personal kind of thing that I also like the part too where he's like, I seen your match where y'all trading STDs out here in these streets. Um, and Samoa Joe basically had to come and break them up. And then Hangman started implying MJF that he's like, oh, you got to be the devil because I know how you operate. I've been here a long time, and we can see how you manipulate things. But yeah, no, I was like, I will go check out that whole clip in that segment because that was a really good segment. Then we got Swerve, and we got Mark Briscoe. Swerve basically can join. I probably should have said that Moxley and Roos, and like the point thing that Moxley has gone up to where he's at 9, and Swerve winning will put him in the same boat as Moxley. And Briscoe needed a win in order to have a chance to stay alive. Where like if you lose, like you still gotta have matches, but they don't they don't do anything for you at this point except for you just messing somebody else's part of the bracket. But so this match, I was like, this match was sort of unlike Jay White's match with Swerve, where it was like a bunch of like dudes counter, or Briscoe and Rush that was hard hitting. This was sort of had like a mix of Briscoe hard hitting action versus Swerve, really athletic and countering type of style. I was like, I think it's like it. It was a lot of these matches. They start out a certain way and they slowly build. This one had that one where they went to the outside, just just hitting each other, throwing each other, that kind of thing, wrestling. But then he threw him outside of the barricade. Then Swerve picked him up over the barricade, suplexed him to the outside, and after that, you feel like he got more started. I was like, funny to see the whole redneck kung fu thing because it's like ka 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 woo, ka, or whatever, hit him right on the throat. That was I guess my version of it. Yeah, no, pretty much. Uh, they they were trading barbs. Then I was like, Swerve try to do I was like, he got Briscoe over in the corner and try to do like the 450 splash knees, and Briscoe trying to take advantage of it, didn't work. All right, cool. So Briscoe hit an elbow earlier, and then when he tried to do it again, Swerve got him with the legs, and pretty much got him. I was like, he got him off the ropes, threw him down. I was like, I forget the name of his Swerve finishing move, and you think that was it? No, Briscoe. I was like, pulled out. I was like, he got a shoulder up, and while I was like, Briscoe tried to get him into a roll up, and Swerve countered that and basically folded him over and got the win that way, and that's how it won. I was like, nothing, crazy spectacular, but I was like I said, countering type of action. I was like, so then from there, I was like, we supposed to have the Joe MJF versus the Devil's Henchman match. Yeah, that didn't go quite as planned. Joe comes out to the ring, he's waiting. The lights do their little spooky thing. Then you see the henchman coming through, and around his side, you see the devil pop up. Then the lights just turn dark. Then you're like, what's going on backstage? And it's MJF up on the ground, and they show. I was like, at first I thought it was blood. I was like, what? I was like, oh man, they making this ankle crazy. But it was just a broken bottle that was around MJF, and that pretty much just. I mean, first of all, there was no match. But now Joe has to run to the back and basically see what's up with, his. I was gonna say his guy, but his title, shot guy. Anyway, so that never happened. Nothing happened to Joe, but they was able to jump MJF in a way. I was like, Mox backstage over here saying, hey, I'm up in this tournament kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, Swerve pops up, and he's like, "Oh man," he's like I'm counting the same number as you counting. He's like, "Oh, like basically signaling like, guess I'm gonna see you towards the end, kind of thing." And they sort of just like grin and just sort of like walk off. Yeah, a little something, something. Um, then we got Tony Storm versus Sky Blue. Um, I was like, it was a fun match that pretty much. I was like, look, the highlight, I guess, for everybody and anybody was a bunch of hip attack. It was a hip attack for you, hip attack for you, hip attack for her, hip attack for them. Everybody got hip attacks all over. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that would seem like it was a finishing move for each one that they were just striking up hip attack. I will say I did also like that it was weird, but Tony Storm getting on Luther in order to take Sky Blue and then launching her all the way off of the barricade. And I that is a good, cool loophole of interference without it being interference, because it is interference, but it's not because he never touched her. So loophole, I was like, that was smart. Um, Yeah, and I was like, once again, another match that pretty much ended up in a roll up and for Tony Storm to get the win. In a convincing fashion. Like it wasn't, like it wasn't like also like it was just like shocking in a roll up. Like no, like I was like I said, like it was a bunch of hip attacks, and that I was like it was a fun match. It was okay. It was sort of, I guess, like it seemed. I mean, I get that's the time of everything, but it did seem fast considering that how Sky Blue has been on like a winning streak here, and it's a women's championship match at the same time too. So it did seem fast of how we just sort of got with her in that way. Um, I was like, but as the match is over and Tony Storm had taken her victory lap, uh, I was like, we got Riho to return, and basically because she was taken out by Tony Storm, she basically tried to take out Tony Storm, but of course Luther's best they would take her away, that kind of thing. But okay, so I was like, obviously we know who the next opponent's gonna be. We got an Adam Copeland and Christian video package, which was pretty cool. Just showing like their life when they were younger. They wasn't supposed to be here, but then they got here. Then it turned into basically Christian being like, nobody believed in me. Edge was always looked at the other person, no matter what. I always had to grind up from the bottom. I was like, and Edge tried to come over here. I mean, Adam Copeland tried to come over here and try to take my shine and this and that. And that was pretty much a video package, but it was a good video package to set it up. Then we got the Battle of the Jays, Jay Lethal versus Jay White. I really wish that this match was a Battle of the Jays, literally, to where whoever lost couldn't use their name Jay anymore. I thought that would have been just as cool, especially because, But it's basically Jay Lethal loses. He's in the same boat as Mark Briscoe, where he can't do anything but play spoiler, where Jay White get to stay in competition. I guess he beat one up on Roosh in that sense, but that's what it was. I was like, Jay Lethal tried to do his little Ric Flair thing. Jay White didn't allow him to do it. Jay White, like he was about to do it, but he didn't. He just sort of mocked it. But Jay Lethal ended up having a chance to do his Ric Flair impersonation. Anyway, I was like, they both went for legs in this match. You had Jay Lethal get Jay White with like two. He did it for each leg, where it was just like not snapmare, but he just basically just launched him just threw him to the ground with his whole body on both of them. While I was like, well, Jay White basically targeted his leg. He did it was during the in picture where he sort of did it was like a submission where it's like the boxer crab pulled him a leg over. I forget what the name of it is. Probably would have helped if it wasn't in picture and I could have heard what it is, but I hate picture in picture. Oh my god, that's another thing. But yeah, no, I was like both weirdly doing like weird, kind of like Jay Lethal over here doing eye rakes. Then Jay White is also doing eye rake. Then at one point they just did a double eye rake to each other. Uh, I was like, I mean, hey, whatever, all's fair in this. Um, and by the end of it, Jay White tried to do a Blade Runner. I was like, it got countered where Jay Lethal was able to break out of it, and then Jay White just basically rolled him up and won the match, and that was it. Man, that was like the third or fourth roll up in this match. But I mean, it's anyway. Yeah. So Jay White is good, and Jay Lethal is just there now. So and they also did a little video packet earlier where Jay White basically said that Jay Lethal, I used to watch you growing up. You're great wrestler, but you ain't nothing for the switchblade. So guns up. I don't know if he said that last part, but I threw that part in. Anyway, then we get to our main event, Adam Copeland and Christian. And I gotta say, the match was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. It's a lot better than any of the build-up that has been here. It was probably one of the few times I actually been interested in Adam since he's been here. Christian, yeah, I like his whole thing that he's doing. But Adam, it's been kind of like, okay, whatever. And but no, yeah, they pretty much got into it pretty quickly. Like as soon as the match started, he slapped the hell out of Christian, and then he went straight into sleeper position on him on the ground. Couldn't get the legs locked. Christian was able to break out of it. Then they just go to the outside. He slams him. He slams his hand to the announcer table. Good old stuff. Then I was like, he just starts throwing cages at the side rails all over the place. And then I was like, but then Christian was able to turn it by getting Edge at when he was at the post and knocking him out, and then throwing him like out into the crowd and stuff like that. And then he's like telling the ref like do the counting thing to get a count out. Didn't work, obviously. I was like, then then they're actually in the match. I was like going at each other. I was like, Chris is on top, getting most of it. He got Edge in the corner, and he sort of had him up top to, probably put the beats on him. And Edge basically bites the hell out of his hand that, throw him off. And then he got him up then they both up at the top, and he got him for a Russian leg sweep. They were doing, they put an emphasis on the fact that they're both people that didn't think they were going to come back to wrestling, and they're throwing their bodies all into this, doing the whatever, God knows what, just, normal stuff to build up, build up in the match. I was like, but anyway, you get a chance to have, I was like, Cage is up at the top. I was like, he do a little splash. I was like, then he tries, I was like, didn't work. Then I was like, I mean, that did work, but I was like, count out. Got his arm up. Jesus Christ, I'm all over the place. Then Cage was like, oh, I'm going to do a spear. He tried to do a spear. Edge counted that to the impaler. I was like, count on that one. Then he just started trying to beat in Edge's head. I mean, Cage's head. Jesus Christ, I'm going to get this all confused. Adam tried to beat in Cage's head. We're going to keep that in. Then I was like, then Adam Copeland tries to do a spear himself, and Cage reverses that into a kill switch. It's also where they call that a kill switch when I was like, Luchasaurus' name is Kill Switch. Anyway, so he hits that, and then Cage tried to do a spear again. I was like, which did not go as planned when Adam moved out the way, but the ref he sort of got inadvertently hit, which causes Cage to low blow the ref. And at that point, he's like, I'm gonna get the title, and he's like, I'm going to go smack Adam with the title. And I was like, but that didn't go as planned. Adam got that out of his hand, and they both basically went to the ropes, and they did a double spear into each other, which, I mean, good spot. I haven't really seen that, so I was like, that was a good spot. I always wondered how that would work with two people that got spears in their arsenal. Then Wayne Wright mom comes down, and this is where it got a little awkward, a little weird. Cause it's like cool. She comes down and and then she gets the title. She really told on herself what she was going to do. Like it wasn't no confusing thing. It wasn't like she set up for Christian and then at the last minute did Adam. She pretty much grabbed it and she pretty much just stared at Adam the whole time until Christian got up, and then it was a little bit of like, and then the commentator tried to play it off, but then she just hits Adam, and it's just like, oh, what? Wow. And I was like, she telegraphed it so much at that point. Anyway, by then, Christian did another kill switch. Then he put the title underneath Adam and stomped his head on the title. And the boy gets to keep it. And the Wainwright mom thing, I was like, that doesn't surprise me. I just wish it was just done better. But hey, and that's how the cookie crumbles in that match. The ending sort of sucked, but I also sort of felt like they put themselves in the corner because you don't want to kill anything with Christian Cage and his stuff that he's doing. Like, yes, it helps him, but you don't want to kill what he's doing anyway. And then Adam, he just got there. He hadn't really had enough matches. He's sort of on a win streak, but also not. So I'm like, so you have to sort of save face with him. So I was like, that's the best you sort of could do, and sort of put yourself in the corner. But anyway, that's AEW Dynamite. Good set of matches. Continental Classic was dope. Setting up things here and there with, Devil and Hangman. I was like, the Adam and Christian thing, we'll see how that keeps on going. But yeah, that's my review, my recap. If you like it, I appreciate it. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, I'm out. Whose house?